Hi, my name is Erin Wiley Sands, and I am so excited to be with you at the Achieve Your Dreams Virtual Summit. I'm excited about all the inspiration, the insight, and the tools you are going to gain from all of the speakers to apply to your personal and your business life. And I want to thank Belinda for inviting me to be a part of this awesome event, because I think not only is this event timely, it's important. Right? Because we are going through a challenging time, not only in our nation, but in the world. And I think it is important for people to remember that it's still okay to dream big. It's still okay to believe you have something of value to offer the world. Because history shows it's those who dare to dream big, to want more, to be the disruptors of the status quo, who became the change makers of their era, who brought us innovation, revelation, and expanded our imagination on what we believed was even possible. Think about it. If a few years ago somebody would have told you that you could have all of your music on your telephone, you'd been like, that's ridiculous. How could I have all of my music on the phone? It was ridiculous until Steve Jobs said, nah, it's possible. And now we all expect to have all of our music available to us on our phone. Some years ago, if people would have told people of a certain generation that, hey, a guy's coming along who's gonna feel like he defies gravity, he's gonna float through the air and be able to put a ball through a netted hoop 10 feet in the air, we would have said, how is anybody gonna do that? Until Dr. J and Michael Jordan used their gifts to expand what we believed was possible in the game of basketball. Remember when JFK said, I believe it's possible for a man to walk on the moon? Nobody had ever thought of that before. That seemed ridiculous until it was done. And years ago, there was a little girl who had been so hurt by childhood trauma that she stopped speaking for 5 years. Yet that little girl became a woman who would become one of the greatest poets and orators of our day. And her name is the late, great Maya Angelou. She showed us that you can overcome adversity. She again used her gifts and her journey to show us what was possible. And now it's your turn, in the midst of one of our most challenging times in our generation, to prove that it's not only possible to dream big, that it's our duty to do so. But how, right? How do we dream big and manifest our goals into reality? How do we release the fears and limited thinking that have been holding us back? Well, we're going to get into that, I promise. But before that, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. As I shared, my name is Erin Wiley Sands. I am the author of an inspirational faith-based book for personal growth entitled The Dunes. I am the creator of an online program and community entitled Live More, Carry Less, where I walk people through the 7 chapters in the Dunes that I refer to as revelations. And these revelations cover issues of fear, commitment, forgiveness, trust, grace, surrender, and gratitude. And I do that with my IRO method, where I help people identify what's been holding them back, recognize the root cause, and because until you pull something out by the root, it will continue to grow, and step out on faith, step out of their comfort zone and overcome it. Because how many of us know that it's one thing to identify what the obstacle is, it's another to recognize the root. But right then you have an understanding. You have to use that understanding and then turn it into action, to step out, like I said, on faith, to step out of your comfort zone and make your understanding an actionable reality, so it becomes a lifestyle that manifests transformation and the results you want. And that's what I'm going to do for you today. In a smaller way, I'm going to walk you through the 7 principles of Live More, Carry Less, and show you how you can apply them to your personal life and your business. So let's go, let's get it. First up, fear. So as I shared with you, I'm an author and the creator of an online program and community entitled Live More, Carry Less. But what I did not share with you is that I'm also an actress. And I began acting years ago in my late teens and early 20s. And I was pretty successful for a couple of years, several years, and then I got out of it to pursue my other interests, writing a book, creating a course, and other things. Now, recently, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, the bug bit me again. And I felt like, you know what? I'm ready to get back into it. I feel like I still have something of value to offer here, and I want to go back into it. So I began taking class, because acting is a muscle. You kind of got to get the dust off and get ready to get back out there. And so I told a gentleman who was a good friend of mine, or very close to me at that time, hey, I'm going to get back into it. I'm, going to give it a try. And he said, well, Erin, you're a woman, you're over 40, and you're Black, so things probably aren't going to work out for you. Sidebar. Men, let me help you out with this. As women, we already know our age. You don't need to remind us, but thanks. So I sat there and I heard that and I thought, well, I already know my age, and yeah, I've been a woman since I've been born, and yeah, pretty aware that I'm Black. So I said, what do you mean by that? And to his defense, he said, well, this industry is a hard industry to be in, and it's even harder to get back into after your 40s. And there are probably not going to be that many parts for you as a woman in your 40s, and probably even fewer as a woman of color. In his defense, what he was telling me were the statistical facts of my situation. And you will have many people on your journey when you decide to step out and launch out into the deep, who will be well-meaning and tell you the facts of your situation. But instead of their facts, you have to go with what you know your truth is in your heart, what you believe, and what you believe that you've been called to do, and what you believe that you've been called to share. I saw a story on the news like 2 days ago, and it was also in the LA Times, about this man named Jack. I have it in my notes, I believe. Yes, his name is Jack Greener. And he suffered from a spinal cord injury. And he determined to hike to the top of Mount Whitney. And what you need to know is Mount Whitney is the tallest mountain in the contiguous United States. It's at 14,000 plus elevation. It is a very hard and arduous hike, even for an able-bodied advanced hiker. So as I shared, this man had suffered from a spinal injury. So his hike, or his desire to do this, was not only going to put an amount of undue pressure and strain and pain on his body, he was going to have to endure, like I said, a very arduous course. It's very rocky, so it's hard to put your footing down. And his feet were the things that he really didn't have control over, because he had to use these 2 poles just to walk and get around. But he determined to do this. When he got to the top, because he did make it to the top, a reporter asked him, what did you say? How did you, do this when, with your body, with your challenges? How did you make it to the top? What did you say to convince yourself to do this? And I wrote down his mantra, and I just want to make sure I got it. He said, every time that he would feel that he wanted to give up or quit, he would just say to himself, stay focused, believe. Over and over again, he would repeat, stay focused, believe. Stay focused, believe. About 2 weeks ago, I wrapped on my first horror movie. So I booked a horror movie and I wrapped on it a couple weeks ago. And a couple months before that, I booked a faith-based movie. Now, I'm believing and still holding out hope that I'm going to book a series regular. But I wouldn't have booked those parts if I had listened to my friend and his well-meaning advice about how I was too old to get back into the industry, and about how opportunities might not be present for me because of the statistical things going on in society. I chose to stay focused and believe. Before I wrote my book, The Dunes, I wrote it because I had been journaling. I had been journaling about a series of things that I had been going through, and what I felt and believed that God was teaching me and life was teaching me about those things that I shared. Fear, commitment, forgiveness, trust, surrender, grace, perseverance, gratitude, all of those things. So I've been journaling, and I, put the journal away, and I didn't think it was a book. I didn't worry much about it. About a year or so later, something on my spirit just said, you know what? You're supposed to expand this into a book. Go back and make it more. And so I did, and after I finished it, I read it, but I didn't know if it would have an effect on anybody's life. I didn't know if it would, benefit or resonate with anybody besides myself because I wrote it. And so I wasn't sure that I should go for it and trying to get it published. But what I did know was that I was willing to put it to the test. So what I did was I put an ad on Craigslist asking people to read my book and do the journal questions and challenges and allow me to chronicle their journey on film. A few people answered my ad. It was a motley crew. It ran the gamut from white to black to woman to man to older to young, just a little bit of everybody. And so they took a chance and stepped out on faith and answered this author's ad and read my book and allowed me to chronicle their journey on film. And what I found literally amazed me. Their lives were transformed. And I say this, and I think I wrote a good book, but at the end of the day, a book is just words with binding. You have to be ready in your heart to make the change. So because they were ready to make the change, and my book provided the tools, I was able to capture their journey on film. And there were so many good things that happened. But I will share a couple of them. There was a woman who had some trauma when she was younger and some issues about going outside. She hadn't done a trip by herself. There were just things that she had a lot of fear issues about. And I believe the Dunes helps people with big fear issues and smaller fear issues. But she had a big fear issue. And so for her fear challenge, because on each revelation, like I said, you get a challenge where you have to put what you learned, your understanding, into action. I said, we're going to go outside and we're going to go hiking. Now, I love to hike. I'm an outdoor girl. That's easy for me, but not for her because she just had a fear of being outside and being exposed to the elements, this whole thing. So we went on what was a very hot day. I said, I'm going to meet you and we're going to do this hike. This is going to be your fear challenge because she had gone through identifying it, recognizing the route, and now it was time for her to step out of her comfort zone. So I got there, film crew were there, and like I said, it was a very hot day. And she comes with like a turtleneck. She had a turtleneck and just covered up. And I said, okay, well, are you okay? You still ready to do it? She was like, fine. And so as we do the hike and we're going up and up, she begins to take off her clothes and the things that were, kind of protecting her from the elements. By the time we got up to the hike, she had taken, at the top, she had taken off that sweater and the hat and everything. And not just because it was hot. She told me afterwards that she felt like she was being released. That she was being released from the things that had held her sort of in bondage and limited her for so many years. And when we got to the top of that hill, she was crying, I was crying, her hands were in the air, and her life was changed as a result. Because what I've learned in working with people and Live More, Carry Less and having people read the book is that sometimes it's like a domino effect. When you get over one fear, it knocks down all the others. And that's what it did in her life. When I saw her a couple of years later, she had written her own book and she had lost 30 something pounds and she just looked great and she was off living her best life. I had another with a singer who she was a phenomenal singer, but she was afraid to sing her own songs. So she had been writing songs for some big names in the industry. And so I planned a night on an open mic for her. After that, I went to go see her perform at the House of Blues. So what I want to share is this. Had I been too afraid to write that book and to go ahead and ask those people to take a part of it, and when I found and saw that their lives transformed, I said, yeah, it's time to go ahead and get this published. But had I been too afraid and too, thinking about my limitations or their limitations, I would have never stepped out and done it. As I said, there are going to be people in your life, and they're well-meaning, and sometimes they can be your family or your closest friends, who are going to tell you the statistics of your age or anything that society says that you can't do. And I gave you a list when we first started this conversation of people who I'm sure were told, that's impossible, you can't do that. But it's up to you to believe, to, like Jack Greener said, stay focused and believe, to go forward and believe that what you have to offer in your business, what you want to achieve in your personal life is possible. Stay focused, believe, and it will come to pass. All right, next up, commitment. So when I say the word commitment, most people believe that that's something that you haven't been doing and now you're going to start doing. Like most people attribute it to maybe eating, a more healthy, lifestyle. So I haven't been eating healthy and now I'm going to make a commitment, I'm going to eat healthy. Or I haven't been working out and I'm going to make a commitment and work out. I haven't been reading more or doing whatever your thing is, and you're going to stop what you're doing and you're going to make that commitment and do it. I want to submit to you, and what I teach in Live More, Carry Less, is that what you've been doing, what you do every day, you're already committed to. So you already have a commitment. If you eat junk food every day, and that's how you've been eating for years, then you're committed to doing that. Whatever we do every day, all the time, throughout the day, we've already made a commitment to doing it. We have been committed to doing that thing, whether we realize it or not. If you've been committed to waking up late and getting late to meetings that you should be on time to, then you've been committed to that kind of behavior. So what I want to offer and submit to you is it's time to change commitments. And what many of us think that is change is hard. Change isn't hard. Change is actually easy. What's challenging is consistency. Anybody can change. I said I needed to be a vegan. I want to be a vegan. I love meat. I'm a huge meat eater. But I said, it's better for me. I'm going to be a vegan. And I was a vegan for about, did I do 3 meals that day? I might have done, 2 or 3 meals that day. But the next day I was back to eating meat. And it wasn't that I didn't change. I changed. I just wasn't consistent and stayed the course. So commitment is anything that you're doing all the time. So if you're doing something that isn't producing good results for your life or your business, you've been committed to that, it's time to change commitments. And it is also time to accept and realize that commitment involves a sacrifice. It involves a sacrifice. It's not easy. There's a thing that they tell to women, you can have it all. And that's true and it's false. The truth is you can have it all, but not all at the same time. If you're focused, and this is with anybody, I don't want to say it's just with women, but as a woman, I hear this all the time. You can have it all. And I believe I can have it all, but I know and understand I can't have it all at the same time. When I was writing my book, and I'm about to begin writing a second book, there's going to be some things I'm going to have to sacrifice to get that through. I'm going to have to take the time out. I won't be able to go out with friends for a season and do the other things because I'm going to have to be laser focused to that commitment and be excellent in that thing that I want to do with excellence and then deliver to the world. And the same with your business and the same with your personal life. Anything that you want to be excellent and do well, that you're going to have to be committed to, you're going to have to sacrifice. If that's working out, you might have to sacrifice sleeping late. You might have to say, I'm going to have to get up earlier so I can start working out. Or I'm going to have to stay up later so I can start working out. Or I'm going to have to sacrifice a certain type of food because I want to eat a certain way. Or I'm going to have to sacrifice certain habits that are not productive to my business because I want to go deeper and go further in my business. And I think you know what those things are. But you will never get there until you understand and accept the fact that you're going to have to sacrifice. Now, it's not always going to be like that. Sometimes you have a product launch and you have to get your team together and you guys all have to be laser focused and go forward in getting that done. And so they're going to be late nights. You're going to have to sacrifice certain things. But when you push that thing out, it's going to be excellent and good. And then maybe you can go back to the normalcy of your lifestyle. But realize and accept that commitment requires sacrifice. You can have it all, just not at the same time. And I also want to say that that you should trust that what you sow, you will reap. There are a lot of times you feel like, what I'm doing, is it going to turn out well? Do I want to put all of this energy into it? But what if you don't? And you could have had that thing that your mind and heart desired, that you felt like you got a vision that this thing was possible, and that you didn't give it all you had. I believe in giving something all you have, all your effort, all of your energy, giving it excellence and putting everything you can into it. If it doesn't work out, it won't be because you didn't try. It won't be because you didn't do all you can. Because how bad is it to feel like this could have happened had I not taken the time to make the sacrifice to see it through? Had I not gone out on certain weekends and worked a little harder to make sure I got this taken care of? You don't want to think that one day that you could have been further down the line, or your business could have been further down the line, or you would have achieved certain goals that you didn't achieve had you only taken the time to make the sacrifice, to believe in yourself, believe in your gifts, believe in your vision for your business, to see it through. So like we said with fear, don't let anything stop you. You stay focused and you believe and you commit to that thing, and you believe that what you are sowing, you will reap a great benefit if you just sacrifice, stay focused, and see it through. Okay, next up, forgiveness. And Live More, Carry Less, when I go over or teach on forgiveness, I do it as it relates to both your personal and your business life. But today I want to focus on what it means for you as a dream achiever. And what I think that means is not letting your past affect your present or your future possibilities. Now, the truth is we all do that, right? We all do that in as one way or another. Say you were in a love relationship that didn't work out and you got your heart broken and you feel afraid and scared to be vulnerable again, to trust again. If you are in a business and you had a product launch and it didn't go well, you spent a lot of money, you worked hard, you did your best, and it didn't, you kind of feel a little timid about the next thing. And trust me, I understand that. I want to say this to you, that the first thing when it comes to not letting your past affect your present or your future possibilities is whether that thing, that disappointment, that hurt, that whatever it was happened 5 minutes ago, 5 months ago, or 5 years ago. You must accept it. Lamenting and running it back in your mind over and over again, how it should have worked this way, or why didn't it work out this way, and how come it didn't happen this way, and I did this, and all of that is not going to change the past. You must accept it. Ruminating with it over and over and over again will not change what happened. What happened, happened. But the good part and the good thing is your power doesn't exist in the past to change what happened. Your power exists in the present to overcome it, to begin again, to learn the lessons from the past and create something new. Before I created Live More, Carry Less, I created another course with a partner, and we put our heart and soul into that thing, baby. We worked and we tried to make sure we had something of excellence to give to the people, and we pushed it out and we were ready, and it totally flopped. It flopped big time. And I didn't understand why it happened, and I was hurt and like, why? But I had to accept that it did happen. It happened. And that my power didn't exist in the past to change what happened. My power existed in the present to overcome it and to learn the lessons and to believe again for my present and for my future possibilities. And that's what I did when I created Live More, Carry Less. Now, Live More, Carry Less is doing well. It's not as big or as, the huge success that I wanted to have, but I believe that it will continue to grow. It's doing very well now. So if I would have stopped and not gone forward, because like I said, I had some trepidation, like that didn't work in the past. It didn't work. I tried that thing. It didn't succeed, but we don't know why things don't happen. Sometimes it's timing. Sometimes it's partnerships. It could be any and everything, but the past does not determine your present. And it definitely doesn't determine what can happen in your future. What we've learned about life, especially in these last 2 years, is that unexpected things happen. We can't control it, but what we can do is believe and prepare ourselves for tomorrow. So I want you to know that things do change, and that not to let past hurt, past pain stop you from launching out and believing that this present day has something to offer you. Because here's the thing, we don't live in the past. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore, really. And we don't live in the future because that doesn't exist yet either. Only thing you have right now is the present. But like I said, that's the best part because that is where your power lies. Here in the present, to learn from the past, to make a vision about the future, and to create a new thing and believe and hope that those things can now come to fruition and manifest in a new way. Because they can. Like I said, I'm a perfect example. I had a friend who had a restaurant. And if you know business, restaurants are usually one of the hardest businesses to have success in. He put his heart and soul into it. It did not work. And when I met him, he had stopped cooking because he just, it just broke his heart so much. He just stopped. And I get that because those things can break your heart. But I convinced him to believe again, that the mistakes or the hurt or the pain from the past were still there in the past, but he existed here in the present. And that he had power in this present to learn from that and to create something new and to begin again in a new way, in a different way. He does not want to open up a restaurant again, but he began cooking and his cooking is great. And so he is using his gifts and going forward in a new way and learning the lessons from the past and not lamenting about that because it keeps us in a prison. It keeps us in a prison and it prevents us from moving forward, and it prevents doors from opening that could now benefit and be a blessing to your business. And you want those doors to open. But if you're constantly living in the past, a place that no longer exists, talking about something that already happened that you can't change, how are you going to receive the new? How are you going to receive the present and fully be here to receive what life has to offer you now? So I say this to you. Let it go. You can't change it. Be here in the present. Learn that lesson if there's a lesson to learn, or believe and dream again and go forward, knowing that things do change. Like I said, I'm living proof. I have a new course and it's working. The other one didn't, but this one did because I dared to believe and live in the present, and you can too. Okay, so the next revelation is trust. And trust is trusting your unique journey. We live in an age where we get to see other people's lives represented in the way that they want us to see it on social media. All wonderful and perfect. And we live in an age where it's just human nature. We see if we are trying to achieve something and we see somebody trying or working or doing well in their goal, next thing you know, we're comparing ourselves. We're comparing ourselves and our journey to their journey in their life. A few years ago, I was going, this is maybe 10, 12 years ago, I was going through a hard time. And I know you're like, how many hard times do you go through? I was going through a hard time and just things that I was trying to achieve. This was before I'd written the Dunes. It was right before actually I'd written the Dunes. They weren't happening. It just wasn't coming together. And I looked on social media and I saw a girl that I had gone to high school with. And her life looked amazing. Like her life looked like glitter, like it just had glitter and unicorns falling from the sky. It was just perfect. And of course I was happy for her. We weren't good friends in high school, but I knew her and we were speaking friends like, hey girl, hi. So she was a nice young woman and I knew her, and I was happy to see her success, but it made me feel bad about me because I was like, wow, what's going on? Why isn't these things that I've been working or striving towards working out? And like I said, her life looked like glitter had exploded and it was just beautiful and wonderful and perfect. And it sort of sent me into a tailspin of self-pity. And I can tell you right now, the quickest way to waste time and feel bad or waste time and not be productive and go forward in your goals and your dreams is when you begin to feel sorry for yourself. That's like a train ticket with the destination Dire Straits. You're going nowhere with that. So rip up that ticket and throw it away. But let me tell you the story. So I saw her life and it just looked perfect and wonderful and glittery and everything. And I fell into a depression for a couple of days, questioning my life, questioning God. Why isn't, why aren't these things working out for me? And I don't know if as a business owner or as just in your personal life, you've seen something on social media, somebody's business, and they're talking about the millions that they're making or how they're having this wonderful product launch and this whole thing. And then you're like, yeah, glad things are working out for you. What about me? And you feel kind of bad about that things haven't been working out for you and you've been doggedly trying and you just don't understand. And you begin to compare your life to theirs and question your journey and judge yourself and feel sorry for yourself and all of the things. We all know all of the things, right? So I did all of the things. I was feeling bad and eventually I got out of my funk and began to, because I'm that kind of person. I don't stay in it too long. I got to get back on that horse and try again. But years later, I saw her on another post on social media. This post was very different. She had breast cancer and she was in the hospital and she had these 2 children and this wonderful husband, and she was questioning whether or not she'd ever see them again. And I saw that post, and as I shared, I'm a woman of faith, so I immediately prayed for her. But I felt like God spoke to my spirit and said, you remember when you were felt bad about yourself and kind of compared yourself to her journey? Remember that when we do that, we don't know everybody's full journey. When I saw her life a couple of years before, it seemed perfect and wonderful. I didn't know, nor did she know, that in her life journey, she was going to experience a space and a place where she wondered if she was going to be there for her family. And I can't imagine how horrible that fear is. But I learned a lesson, never to compare my journey to somebody else's. Because if you compare and decide you want their life, you have to have all of their life. The stuff that looks wonderful and the stuff that is challenging that you might not ever know about. She was brave to put that on social media. And like I said, I prayed for her, and praise God, she was healed and is living, and thriving and living her best life. But I learned a lesson there, that we all have something, and it's our unique journey and our unique story. And it's not to be compared to anybody else's. What I go through and all of the things that have made me me allowed me to create the dunes, allowed me to create Live More, Carry Less. What you bring to the table is uniquely yours. I don't care if you're selling something that somebody else is selling. They're not selling it the way you're selling it because they're not you. They don't have what you offer. They don't have your story. They don't have your journey. So it is unique. You may be a baker and there's a baker across the street baking cakes and cookies just like you, but they don't bake them just like you. They may be selling cakes and cookies like you are, but it's not your cakes and cookies because, like I said, they don't have your journey. Maybe when somebody comes into your shop, they feel inspired or feel a different way. Maybe you decorated your shop differently. That's unique to you and what God gave you to offer to the world. What I'm saying is take value and take stock of your life. All of your scars or imperfections, those are beautiful things that make you who you are. Your mistakes are stories that you can use and share to tell other people, like I'm sharing my mistakes and stories and journey with you, to uplift and remind other people that they can overcome. All of these things are the great things that make us us. I love kombucha. And if you are not familiar with kombucha, kombucha is a fermented tea, and it's healthy. It helps your body become more alkaline. So I've been drinking kombucha for years. I started drinking kombucha because I was in the store and I saw this brand called GT's Kombucha. And on it, on the side of the bottle, he told a story about how his mother had cancer. And he found out that this tea, fermenting a tea, could help your body become more alkaline and could maybe be helpful to healing. So he began making this tea. And he made it so much that, and I'm not sure of the other modalities they used in his mother's healing, but he made it so much that it did aid in her healing, and she overcame and got healed from cancer. Now, that story, when I saw it, moved me. It resonated with me. It was his journey. A lot of people make kombucha, but guess whose kombucha I buy? GT's kombucha, because I loved that story. I was attached, that story resonated with me. I made a connection with it. And now the only brand of kombucha I buy is his brand, because it touched me and it moved me and it made me want to support his business. The same thing with you. You have a unique story. It makes you unique and it makes you special because it's your story and because it's your journey. The way you deliver your product, I don't care if it's ink for a computer or a printer. Your ink is different than their ink because it's your ink. And it's the way you package your ink and deliver your ink, or the way you think about your ink. Always know that you have something of value. Don't demean what you have to offer. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. You are unique for a reason. You are special. You are different, and you have something great and amazing to offer. Don't ever forget that about yourself. And it's great because it's you. All right, let's go on to the next revelation. Okay, so let's get to the last 3 revelations that I want to go over with you, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. So those are grace, surrender, and gratitude. When I think of grace, like I said, as a woman of faith, it means different things for me spiritually, but in Live More, Carry Less, I teach grace as radical kindness and self-care. But for you, as a dream achiever, let's go with radical kindness and apply it to your business. I believe very much that we all have gifts, and that our gifts are not just for ourselves. We are supposed to use the gifts that the gifts that we have to create our great businesses like we have, and to sow into other things and people in need. So my favorite, because like I said, we have challenges, and my favorite in Live More, Carry Less is the Grace Challenge, where I encourage people to step out of their comfort zone and give in a radically kind way. Myself as a business owner, I pick a group or something that I may see on TV or something that touches my heart. And I make sure every month I pick a new group or something to give to. The other day I saw on the news, I watched local news because I stopped watching cable news. It was too toxic. So I started watching local news, and I saw a story about a local organization called A New Way of Life. And they were helping women who got out of prison, women who had paid their debt to society, got out of prison and needed help getting back into being productive members of society. And when I saw the stories of the women and the woman who started the organization, it touched my heart so much. And I said, you know what? I want to be a part of her trying to be a change maker in the lives of these women. So I wrote them a letter and I said, hey, I want to give in this kind of way. I want to sow into your organization because I love what you're doing. Now, sometimes we don't have the finances or the resources to sow, but you have other things that you can give. So I encourage you as a business owner to give. It is better. It really is far better to give than receive. There's such a joy you get out of it. And if you doubt whether or not it's great, or whether or not you're going to reap what you sow when you give to other businesses and give to other organizations or nonprofits or people or things who are doing incredible things for those of us in humanity, I have 2 words for you. Oprah Winfrey. Yes, my friend. Every time somebody does an impersonation of Oprah, what do? You get a car, you get a car, you get a car, because we all know her as a woman of great wealth, but also as a woman who gives in a great way. And so I believe that a lot of her wealth came because she gave. She gave and she sowed into other people's lives in different ways, that she helped people get platforms to form wealth for themselves and their own families, as well as sowing into a lot of needy causes. So I just want to encourage you as a business owner. I believe it's great for your heart and just great for your business when you take part in this beautiful universe by sowing a seed in somebody else's life who needs help. Okay, the other thing was surrender. I want to say this. I've learned this a long time ago, and it's a saying that I heard: anything that isn't growing is dead. And I truly believe that. Certain times in our lives, in our personal lives or as business owners, we need to surrender a way that we were doing business that didn't work, that doesn't work. That if you are old school business and you're saying, I don't like that whole online whatever thing. If your business is growing without being online, then by all means, keep doing what you're doing because it's working. But if you're hesitant to embrace change and surrender old ideas, you're not going to grow. And like I said, anything that is not growing is dead, and you don't want your business to be dead. You want to change with the times. Find a way, or hire, if it's not your thing, hire somebody to do those things for you. When you are doing a way of business or creating products that you find that isn't working, but you're just dead set and stubborn about doing it that way, and your business isn't growing as a result of it, you need to have that hard talk with yourself, take a look in the mirror, and see that that is not working for you. It's time to surrender that way of doing business. It's time to surrender those old ideas and be open, embrace the new. Because when you're open to new things and new ways, you grow. Your business will begin expanding and growing. I'm not saying to compromise your integrity or your values. I'm talking about methods, our methodology of way we're getting our products across, or the methodology of way we're doing things in life. If it is not working, it is time to take a hard look at yourself and surrender. Let it go, release it, and let the new come in so you can do things in a new way. As I told you, I've stepped back into acting again. I could sit here and be mad that things didn't happen when I was younger, and I wanted to be the ingenue and be in that and all the young roles that I see people have, but I'm not that age anymore. I'm not the ingenue. Now I'm a woman of a certain age, and so now I get to play the sexy auntie. I don't care what you say, I'm still gonna say I'm the sexy auntie. I'm not just the auntie, I'm the sexy auntie. But now I get to play that role. And so I've surrendered those old dreams, and I surrendered those old expectations rather, and I've allowed a new dream to come to me in a different way. I'm going to be a different person now, playing a different character, but that's okay, because what I loved was not the characters, was the gift of acting. So now I get to do it in a new way. And like I said, I booked some things. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm going to keep believing and keep moving forward. As Jack Greener said, I'm going to believe and stay focused and believe. Okay, so last revelation, gratitude. And I think this is a big one. It's a big one for me. I'm running out of time. I had a story to tell you, but it's getting later in the day. Well, I'll tell you really quickly. Let's see. Years ago when I was married, I am divorced now, but years ago when I was married, my ex-husband and I loved to listen to live music. So we would go out, and one night we found ourselves at the House of Blues. And I share this story also in my book, The Dunes, and we were listening to live music. During that time, my body had begun to change. As you get older, your hormones change and things change. And I went to sleep. I felt like I went to sleep and woke up and gained 35 pounds overnight. And I was not happy about it at all. So we're at the House of Blues, and the Gap Band is playing. I don't know, I'm telling on my age, but the Gap Band is playing. They're playing their old school funky hits, and everybody around is just loving it. They're dancing and enjoying it. And I would love to tell you that I was present for every glorious moment of that evening, but I wasn't. I was stuck in my head, lamenting, because see, I've learned, that's why I can teach on these things. I was stuck in my head lamenting about what my body used to look like. And every woman who came in with the waist I used to have began the conversation in my mind about what I could do to get my size back to that. And it was then and only then could I really enjoy my life, until I was that weight again. And here's the thing. I had no power in that moment to change my weight. What I had power to do in that moment was enjoy being there, listening to a funky band play some old school hits with a man who loved my body just the way it was. And so I missed out on that because I was so focused on a future that isn't given yet and a past that I couldn't change, that I let the present slip away unappreciated. And I often think, what if that night was my last night on earth? I would have spent it in my head filled with self-pity. So I want to say this, as business owners and as people in our life, there's so many ways and so many things that we can do to be distracted and not live in the present moment, the present victory. Maybe you're doing well in your business and it got to a certain place and you're so worried about keeping it there and getting it higher, and you're not enjoying and allowing yourself to soak in the victory of what just happened for you and what just happened in your business. So I want to encourage you to be present in this moment. It's the only one we truly have. And we can all get lost in our phones. I've done it myself. I'll stay in a line. Sometimes I make myself, if I'm at Ralph's or the grocery store, I'm like, don't look at your phone. Just be present in this moment. As annoying as this line is, be here. So I'm not saying for you to do that, but I'm saying in your life and in your business, be present. Experience each moment. It will not come again. Another moment may happen, but it won't be that moment because that moment is gone. Every moment is new and it's original and it's its own. So as you grow in your business, be present for the victories. Be present even for the defeats, because there will be lessons to learn and things to glean that will help you grow and be a better business person going forward. So I am Erin Wiley Sands, and I would love for you to join me and Live More, Carry Less. If you think that I've shared some things that would benefit your life, you can join me at livemorecarryless.com. Like I said, it's an online program and community, and I would love to have you. Or if online courses and community and all that is not your thing and you just like to read the book, then The Dunes is available as an audiobook. It's available in paperback on Amazon.com, and it is available as an ebook wherever ebooks are sold. And you can find out more about The Dunes at thedunesbook.com. Either way, I want to tell you that, as I said, I'm excited for you. You came to this summit for a reason. I believe that there are no accidents or mistakes. It's time for you to elevate. It's time for you to grow. It's time for you to expand. It's time for you to learn these tools, get this inspiration so you can give what you have to offer or expand what you've already been doing in an amazing way. So I want you to know that I'm excited for you and I'm happy for you and I'm happy to have been a part of the process. All right, have a great day.